Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, it is time for another It's the Bread story. My guest today, Saige Parker, emailed me some months ago to thank me. And in her words, she said, from the bottom of my heart. She went on to say that she attended one of my classes at Bread Beckers and again, in her words, stated that it was one of the most encouraging and eye-opening experiences in her health journey. Wow, those are powerful words and at the same time, very encouraging to me. She went on to share with me in her email a little of her story, but my hectic travel schedule prevented me from connecting with Saige until today. And I'm so glad we did, as hers is a story that needs to be heard. So Saige, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today on Sue's Healthy Minutes. And before we dive into your story and everything you want to share, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and where you're from.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. It's so exciting. So I'm from Macon, Georgia. I'm 25, and I've been married for about a year and a half now, which has been such a sweet season of my life.
Yes, newlyweds. Brad and I just celebrated 50 years, so you have a lot to look forward to.
So exciting. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were from the South. I didn't realize you were from Macon, Georgia. That is so great.
Yes. Yep, born and raised.
Yeah. So you had some pretty significant health challenges growing up and throughout your life. Give us a little background on those.
Yeah, so I avoided gluten and dairy and amongst other things, peppers, tomatoes, a lot of other things, but have avoided that for about 15 years and ate completely gluten-free. So I struggled with like sensitivities, allergies. I struggled with mold exposure and Epstein-Barr. So I've had, a lot of ups and downs for sure.
Yeah. Wow. 15 years. So you were pretty young. You started having these issues.
I was about 8 years old when I had completely cut out gluten and dairy.
Wow. That's a long time. So through the years, how did you try to deal with these things? You cut out a lot of foods, and did you do any other treatment like for the mold exposure or Epstein-Barr?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, my mom is so knowledgeable about all this stuff, and I have 5 other siblings, and all of them have struggled with food sensitivities. So my mom got thrown into it and quickly had to learn how to adapt, how to cook for all of us. And so for one, definitely her, because as an 8-year-old, there's only so much you really know how to do. And so definitely cutting out those high inflammatory foods. I had a family friend, natural doctor, who I'd gone to, who had given me like supplements for my Epstein-Barr, for the mold exposure, and for my food sensitivities. But really the main thing is just avoiding a lot of those foods that were causing me issues.
Wow. Your mom sounds like she's a wealth of knowledge. I might have to talk to her at some point.
I was just about to say, I called my mom this morning and talked to her a little bit about you because she obviously knows a lot about you. And I was like, she's really going to need to talk to you because you have so much knowledge on this, and raising 6 kids and having to figure all that out before even gluten-free was really a thing.
Yeah. So that's actually how you heard about Bread Beckers and Real Bread. It was through your mom, right? And
yes, that is right. Yeah.
So that led you on this path of milling your own grain. Tell us about that. How did your mom hear about us, and then you in turn heard about us?
Yeah. So my mom actually knew about you probably before, I was a baby, and she had heard about you through friends and kind of done some research and almost jumped on doing the fresh milled wheat at that time. But she had 3 little babies, and she actually found some Ezekiel bread at the grocery store and was like, well, this will just be so much easier for me to do. I'll just do this. And so she did that for years. And then we all just started developing food allergies and food sensitivities. And honestly, she just kind of forgot about that and didn't think about it. And I think she heard you on a podcast interview with a doctor, and she heard you sharing stories about all these people who were finding healing from this bread, who had sensitivities and were able to eat this bread with no problem. And she immediately dove into doing it. And she, even before that, had started drinking raw milk and having no sensitivity issues. And my mom actually almost died of a dairy allergy when she was a baby. So I think,
my goodness.
Yeah. So I think her doing that gave her some hope and some confidence to be like, well, if I can do the raw milk with no problem, maybe this fresh milled wheat we could actually do. So I remember her talking to me about it. And I was like, I mean, sure, I'll try some if you make it and do it. And so she did.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So you weren't really hesitant even after all the years?
I won't lie. I was a little bit hesitant because, of course, somebody who's had to learn how to avoid all these foods that cause so many health issues, it was kind of like, do I want to try this? I definitely don't want to throw myself off and get sick. But also, I had before that started drinking raw milk and was having no issues with it. And I feel like that gave me the push of, okay, maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not the gluten necessarily. And so I remember I think she gave me like a half a slice and was like, just nibble on it, see what you think. And I will be honest, I didn't nibble on it. I ate the whole thing and was like, this tastes amazing. And I remember thinking and praying, I was like, Jesus, just bless this. Don't let it affect me in a negative way. And I just remember thinking, please don't let this affect me in a bad way because this tastes so good. I haven't had anything like this. And from somebody who's been eating gluten-free bread for 15 years, that's a very big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really didn't have the experiences or the side effects or reactions, whatever you want to call it, that you thought of. You felt fine. No bloating.
Honestly, I felt great. Like even eating gluten-free bread, I could tell like my stomach just didn't feel the best, but it was kind of the only option I had. And with this bread, I just felt like it actually made me feel good. And I was like, this is so different than anything I've ever eaten before.
That's amazing. So no bloating, no fatigue, no symptoms at all, because that's what people think. Wheat does that to you, and it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. So you had no reaction at all. You felt great. So you jumped in. You told me in your email that since then, everything has changed. And, I thought about that when I read that. And I know for me, when I first learned about the incredible health benefits of freshly milled flour and made this a part of my life, I saw incredible health benefits too from just this one change. But it led me on a path of discovery, kind of like you with the dairy. What else can I change or need to change? It led me to raw milk, to more cultured foods, unrefined salt, extra virgin olive oil, and I could go on and on. I'm still on this learning journey, if you'll call it that. But you mentioned the same sort of experience. When did you start milling and making your own bread? And what other changes have you made in the way you were eating and feeding your family?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started milling my own bread. It was probably a month or two before Christmas because we had gone to one of your classes in October. And I remember after I was like, this is amazing. Like, she's so knowledgeable. This is so eye-opening. And my mom was like, how would you like me to gift you everything you need to make bread for Christmas?
What a great mom.
Right? I was so excited. And I was like, I would love that. And she was like, I'll give it to you as an early Christmas present. So almost for a year, I have been milling my own bread. I cut out all of like processed gluten-free products. I don't even buy any of that anymore. I strictly use like the fresh milled wheat. I'll make, sweet treats with it. I'll make all our bread, biscuits. Like that's our snacks now is I don't even buy snacks in our house anymore.
That is amazing. Did your mom come with you to the class?
She did. Yes, she did. So she came, my older sister went, my aunt and my cousin all came.
Oh my, y'all made it a family affair. Well, I'm so
Yes.
glad. I really love doing the classes and helping people just see how easy this is. So that is so great. So almost a year you've been doing this. Now we want to get to the most important part that I know people are waiting to hear. What health benefits have you seen? What health benefits have you experienced?
Oh, so many, honestly. I know number one is definitely like my gut health and my digestion, because that was something I've struggled with since I was little with sensitivities and things like that. I was unaware of when I was getting exposed to things, but I could just feel it in my stomach. Like I just wouldn't feel good. And I
Yeah.
have not had that feeling since starting this bread and eating this way. Like I don't ever feel like my digestion's messed up. I don't feel like my gut's inflamed. It really has healed my gut.
That is amazing. All right. So gut health and digestion. What else?
Oh, so definitely, I feel like my mood, it helps that. I feel like my mental focus, I've struggled with blood sugar here and there, and it has completely balanced that out. And I know there's so many other benefits that I'm probably not even aware of that it has done for me and my health.
Yeah. I found that too is like, I mean, there were some things that I didn't really think about until later, and you kind of go, oh, I've not had a headache in so long, or oh,
Yeah.
I've not had a migraine in 3 years now. Just as you go on the road, you start realizing things that you just thought were just your lot in life, if you want to call it that, or whatever,
Absolutely.
that you just had accepted. And I know, like for me, sinus congestion too, within a month or so, I noticed that I just didn't have all that postnasal drip and snotty nose and needing an antihistamine. And now 34 years later, I've not had an
Yes.
antihistamine or a decongestant, and I lived on them, before bread. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
really, really.
I feel like it's also helped with like my mold exposure symptoms, because before it was like I had a flu. Like I was just runny nose, coughing. I would even lose my voice. And I haven't had symptoms like that since eating this bread. So I really feel like it has also helped that.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. Anything else before we move to your husband? Because you said he loves everything you bake, which that is exciting. That
He
must be an
does.
encouragement to you.
Oh, he's
And
my biggest encourager for sure.
that is great. But you said he's seen some health benefits as well.
Yes, he has. So he struggled with high blood pressure for a while. And about after we got married, he's always been super healthy and active. And that's just kind of how he would try and manage it, is through working out and his diet. And after we got married, it was rare that he would have a flare up, but he would sometimes have a flare up. And since doing the bread, he has felt great. He hasn't had any issues with it. He feels like he has more energy. So it's just had so many benefits for him as well.
That is great. That is great. So I do want to talk a little bit more about your mood and your mental health. Did you feel like you just had good days and bad days, a lot of ups and downs, and this has stabilized? Or explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I know, like for sure with Epstein-Barr, that really affects your mood. And, some people talk about it like it just makes you feel depressed all the time. And mine was not that severe, but it was to the point where I had ups and downs. I had good days and bad days. I was feeling very tired all the time and just felt foggy brained all of the time. It was hard for me to focus on anything or get anything done. And since doing this bread, it just like it clears up that cloud that's just hanging over your head. And all of a sudden I'm able to focus more. I have more energy. And it's been such a blessing.
That is, I just don't think people realize, how much that affects your life, when you just feel tired all the time, or just like you said, that cloud just hanging over you and you don't really know why. I'll call it sometimes when I have a really, really tough schedule. I'll tell my husband, like, even now with the bread, we use our energy. So your adrenaline drops. And, I said, I just feel like I want to cry. And he goes, well, what are you sad about? And I'm like, I don't know. I just need to cry.
Us women just need to do that sometimes.
We do. Especially, I have a very hectic and stressful schedule. And sometimes after I've gone days and days and days, it'll still hit me, but I get a good day of rest and get my good bread and I'm all better. So now what kind of blood sugar issues did you have? Were you pre-diabetic or?
No, honestly, it wasn't anything that was diagnosed. I could just feel like after eating breakfast, I couldn't last very long before I had to eat something and I would just cannot feel dizzy. And I noticed every time I ate bread with my meal for breakfast, it would like help me last throughout the day so much longer. And I wasn't having those issues. So I feel like it really helped balance all of that out.
Yeah, keep that sustained energy instead of a high and a drop, that
Yes.
hypoglycemia type of low blood sugar shake. And
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that, diabetes or high blood sugar, low blood sugar is really just two sides of the same coin. It's
Exactly.
the key is keeping that slow release of the carbohydrates into your bloodstream to give you that sustained sugar that you need for energy. So that's amazing. I've had a lot of people tell me that they've seen their hypoglycemia type issues resolve. So
Wow.
that is
Yeah.
so good. I'm just so glad you reached out to me. And I love your words that my class was the beginning of something really beautiful for you and your family. So you got to explain that a little bit more. In what
Yeah.
way has this been a beautiful experience? I mean, that's powerful. That's so encouraging to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for one, I've never viewed food like this until going to your class and learning so much. But like food truly is medicine. And I think that should always be our first step in our health is focusing on what we're putting in our bodies. And you kind of shined a light on that food truly can be medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when we're eating it the way that God intended it, like it will feed our bodies. It will bring us healing and health and restore things that were lost. And so that's just such a beautiful thing to get to make at home now and bring to family members, to friends, and get to share something like this with them and feel good about giving it to them, it's going to have healthy benefits and things. And then it's also a great conversation starter.
Yeah, I know. Don't you just love taking bread as a gift now to give to people? I just love it because it's healthy. It's good.
Yes.
But it's delicious at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love that. So, it's so funny that you mentioned that viewing food as medicine. I mean, Hippocrates said that, let food be medicine, your medicine, and medicine be your food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, for years, people would say, how much bread do I need to eat? And I would almost get frustrated and say, quit thinking of this as a dosage of medicine. But then someone one time sharing their It's the Bread story, she goes, I think of this as my medicine. I eat this to make me well, And I'm like, okay, Sue, I'm going to rethink this whole medicine thing. And I just love that. It is our medicine. It is healing. And I have never seen any one food bring such varied and widespread and immediate health benefits, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. I know some people hate it when I spiritualize things, but hey, Jesus compared himself to bread for a reason.
Exactly.
And I'm going with that.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that. And it's such a thing, like it makes you question it when you're reading the Bible and you see that he is comparing himself to bread and referencing himself as the bread of life. And we look at our bread in the grocery store and we're like, there is nothing life-giving about that. What is he really talking about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a great way to put it. So anyway, I've just loved hearing your story. You mentioned that you have an online photography business, a website, and a blog. I think you're dedicated to encouraging others, right? Tell us a little bit about that. And you've even incorporated your love for baking with freshly milled flour into your blog and your website.
Absolutely. I have a lot of different things that I love. I love photography. And most recently with starting this journey for doing this bread, I have just fallen in love with baking and cooking with it and sharing recipes on there. So I share all kind of recipes. I try out a lot of new things and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So far, everything my husband approves and said it's great. So that's a win.
Yes, always a win.
Yeah. So I absolutely love sharing recipes on there, and especially for somebody who also has cut out processed sugar as well.
Yes.
It's been such a blessing to experiment and learn how to bake things with fresh milled flour, but also with low processed sugar, things like honey and maple syrup and coconut sugar. It's a learning curve for sure. But I know there's so many other people out there who've had to cut out sugar. And then on top of that, wanting to start the fresh milled wheat, it's hard to find recipes out there with both of those things combined. And so that's definitely something that I'm passionate about sharing and encouraging people that it is doable.
Yes, it is so doable. And that is so great. So tell us a little bit how people can find you. What's your website?
Yes. Yeah. So it's forgetmenotphotography.com, and it's the number 4. So they can find me on there. And if they go to my blog, I share all of my recipes on there and everything that I try out. So
that is great. Now tell us that website again.
forgetmenotphotography.com, and it's the number 4.
Okay. All right. And that's Saige Parker at forgetmenotphotography.com. That is great.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. So before we close, I like to ask all my guests to leave our listeners with a final word of encouragement, any word the Lord has put on your heart. But what word of encouragement would you like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, so I would just encourage the listeners that I believe one of the first steps to healing is to choosing foods that nourish and restore our bodies rather than taking away from them. I believe that food can truly be a source of healing, and if this is a journey that you're interested in, I highly encourage you to take those steps. It has truly changed my life, my family's life, and has been such a beautiful gift from God.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm not sure I will ever be able to adequately express how much these testimonies like yours, words like yours, encourage and strengthen me. So I just ask y'all, keep them coming. Email your story to me. But I hope the same for all who hear your story, that they'll be encouraged and strengthened just as I am. So, Saige, thank you again for joining me today, and for all who are listening. Until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated, located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.